You go to the cloud because, well, why do you go to the cloud? You go to the cloud because somebody told you to? Well, no, because it's cool, maybe. But mainly you go to the cloud because it's scalable. You can easily spin up and shut down new instances, and you don't need to actually pre-purchase hardware and pre-lease servers. So that's what makes cloud very attractive to most people. So what does it mean to be scalable? Well, for a web application, that means being able to handle a whole bunch of requests. You might have some caching involved, which again helps to handle lots of requests. You probably have a bunch of application servers involved, which lets you spread out the load and again handle more requests. And if you don't need those servers, you want to be able to shut them down, or if you need more servers, you want to be able to boot up new ones so that you can accommodate whatever load is coming. One of the ways to deal with handling lots of traffic is caching. If your servers don't need to be processing something, don't process it. Pull it out of a cache. The other aspect of being able to scale is being able to deploy on many different servers. So, I mean, when you start off an application, a project, you often just deploy it on a single server. It's your development setup, and then it grows. You get some clients. You go, okay, well, my little server is dying now. I need more power. So you need to be able to spread it out across different servers. If you're running something across different servers, things start getting a little bit complicated because you can no longer rely on simple things like a file being there. Just because you put it there last request doesn't mean it's going to be there the next request, because the next request can be handled by a different server now. So the first server, say you put a file in a temp folder, the next request you hit a different server, so it's not there anymore because it's on the other server. So that's something you need to be aware of when you're scaling, when you're growing up an application from like development mode when you have one server to actual deployment where you have multiple servers dealing with all this stuff. So I was talking about sessions. Rails has this construct called the active record store. Essentially, it uses Rails' own main way of handling database records to store the sessions. For internal caching, there's a application called memcached. Essentially what it does, it takes a chunk of RAM and it reserves it as a cache space. Nginx is a lot leaner server. It's really fast at serving static content. It integrates with Rails pretty well. And there's something called Passenger. It's essentially a module for Apache and Nginx, which lets you, it basically does all the work of managing your Rails instances for you. So that's the easy option. And if you want to have a little bit more control over what goes on, you can just manually set up Nginx to proxy to your own Mongrel instances. Backup load balancers. Well, in my experience, I haven't never really run into so much load balancer issues because they're fairly low maintenance boxes. They don't get stressed. They just have requests going through them, and they're forwarded right over to somewhere else. They don't really do processing, they just do routing. So I've never really had these things go out of the blue. I mean, the only reason they probably would be because of hardware problems. But still, if you want the extra level of safety, you can put up a backup load balancer, and if you have a single load balancer, if that goes down, your whole app goes down, because that's how all your traffic is routed. So without that, your app doesn't exist.